Alright, just gonna make sure everything's working. Alright.
Yep.
So, we're gonna kind of go through this a little bit. So, just a review of what we've been doing. So there's two. So we're kind of learning from Free Code Camp, and anyone can go on freecodecamp.org and follow along on your own. It looks like we got some people in here. IWPG, Dragonfly, My Life, Grant. So basically, in these learning modules, there's kind of like an older version, Legacy, and then there's a newer version, where I think it's more geared towards examples than anything. But I thought it would be a good idea to kind of go through both of them for the sake of, just reinforcing concepts and just kind of like, it'll be like once we cover one, the other one will be a review for the other one. Because basically it's two learning modules teaching the same thing. So that's kind of what we've discussed so far. And that's kind of what we're going to get into. So, I believe what we're going to do, we're just going to go through the old one. We're going to continue on the old one. And we're just going to kind of work through this. So, this says nest an anchor element within a paragraph. You can nest links within other text elements. Alright. So, this would be, so remember, an anchor element is basically a link. So, this right here that's highlighted, this is the anchor element. This is the link to the website. So let's break down the example. Normal text is wrapped in the P element. So it's basically putting a link inside of the paragraph element. And next is the anchor element, which requires a closing tag. So target is used as an anchor element attribute that specifies where to open the link. So what this will do is it'll open into a new tab. So we'll try that out. The href is an anchor tag attribute that contains the URL address of the link. Yep. The text link to the Free Code Camp website within the A element is called the anchor text, and will display the link to click. So basically it's like what the link will say. So this corresponds to this. So if you were to click this, this would actually open another tab. I don't know if we want to do that right now. Well, yeah, I don't know if we want to do that right now. We'll test it when it works. The final output of the example will look like this. Here's a link to freecodecamp.org for you to follow. Okay, so now this is the instruction. So it kind of gives you a lesson, and then it gives you the instruction. It says nest the existing anchor element within the new P element. Do not create a new anchor tag. The new paragraph should have text that says view more cat photos, where cat photos is a link, and the rest is plain text. Okay, so let's figure this out. So nest the existing A element within the new P element. Okay, when it says the existing A element, it's referring to this, and now it's saying to put it in a new paragraph that says view more cat photos, where cat photos is a link. I'm not sure if I'm overthinking this, but I feel like it's just asking me to change the text. Let's try it out. Let's see. Your A element should have the anchor text of cat photos. Your P element should have the text view more. All right, let's go back. So you should only have one A element. The A element should link to freecodecamp.com. Your A element should have the anchor text of cat photos. Oh, okay, so I think I see what it's asking me to do. So I think just the cat photos part should be the link. And then view more. View more will be part of the, that'll be within the paragraph, so cat photos will be the link. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, that is correct. All right, so I'm just going to review what it was asking me to do. So it was basically asking to, so let's just review this code. So this is a P element. This means that anything in this would be like a paragraph. So much like this is like this, and much like this is like this. It's a paragraph, essentially. So then inside that, you have regular text, and then you have a link. And then you're basically putting cat photos in a link. So then if you click on view more, nothing will happen. But if you click on cat photos, it will. But it'll actually go back to the same website. But, yeah. That module is complete. Okay, make dead links using the hash symbol. Sometimes you want to add A elements to your website before you know where they will link. Okay, so basically this is like, what they're basically saying here is, let's say you want to create a link, right? Like this is a link to free code camp, or actually it says, I think this is like the freecatphotoapp.com. Let's say you don't know where it's going to link. Let's say you're a web developer, you're creating the link, but you don't know where it's going to link. So basically it's saying that you would want to put something in place of it before you know where to link, where the link will link. It'll make sense more as we work through it. Sometimes you want to add A elements to your website before you know they will link. This is also handy when they're changing the behavior of a link using JavaScript, which we'll learn about later. The current value of the href attribute is a link that points to freecatphotoapp.com right there. Replace the href attribute value with the hash. Okay, so let's remove this entire thing with the hash. So we'll actually look like this. So that's literally what it's asking me to do. So basically before you have any, you know what the link is going to be, the convention is to put a hash symbol, and let's run the tests, and that was what it wanted me to do. So it looks like we're about 46% complete in this. We're just going to continue to about 20 to 30, then we're going to jump to the other one, and we're just going to keep working on them. And I'm going to be doing a lot of these streams of coding. So let's see this. Turn an image into a link. All right. So we'll talk about that. You can make elements into links by nesting them in an A element. So this is kind of what I wanted to explain is much like this right here, right? Cat photos is text, right? Cat photos is text. You're essentially making this text a link. But what if you put this, which is an image? This is how you code an image. Where cat photos is. What'll happen is that image, and you probably have seen images that do, when you click on it, go to links, is this cursor, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it'll turn into something that you can click on, and that'll click on the link. So I think what it's going to ask me is, okay, place the existing image element within an anchor element. Just any anchor element. Okay. So it's not even really going to ask me to make an actual link that goes to something. It's going to ask me to make a dead link. So let's make a dead link. So how do I make a dead link? The link is a hash. And let's close it off here. So that means that this image now, much like this, see, this is a link, and now this is a link. And let's just kind of bring this link to life more. Let's just show this link to work. Um, hold on. Actually, I'll just leave this for now. I don't want to erase the data that we're working on. But yeah, so I believe that's what it asked me to do. Let's see. Alright, so that's another one complete. It asks me to donate someday. Alright, create a bulleted, unordered list. So a bulleted, unordered list. HTML has a special element for creating an unordered list or bullet point style list. Alright, I believe we learned this in the other module. Unordered lists start with an opening UL element followed by any number of LI. So this stands for list item, the LI. So you're going to have a bunch of list items in this unordered list. So it's kind of like a to-do list, almost. Finally, unordered lists close with a UL. So this is what an unordered list would look like. It's like a shopping list kind of. We'll create a bullet point style list of milk and cheese. Review the last two P elements and create an unordered list of 3 things that cats love at the bottom of the page. So remove the last 2 P elements and create an unordered list. Remove the last 2 P elements. Okay, let's do that first. Alright, and I think it's just asking me to make an unordered list. So let's do that. This is list item 1. So I think it's asking for 3 list items. So let's make 3. In the future, I'll copy and paste it, but I kind of just want to show, like, the whole creation of it. Can't really think of anything right now, so I'm gonna think of, if I had help from chat, I don't know. Move the last 2 P elements to create an unordered list of 3 things that cats love at the bottom of the list. It doesn't tell you, so I think it's asking us to find out on our own. But as you can see, the bullet points are already there, we just need to fill them. So yeah, I think we need 3 things that cats love. And I don't know if we can get help from chat for that. Or, I don't know. Or I'll just say, I'll just be generic. And just say thing 1. Thing 1. Thing 2. And thing 3. So you can literally put in anything here. I guess they're saying there's no right answers. And I believe that is it. Okay, we got one. Got a cat in it. I'll wait. We got another one? I don't know what that is, but I'll type that in. A human? Humans. I don't know. Is that like a way of saying humans? I don't even know. We just need another one. Oh, humans. Oh, I don't know. I know so little about cats, so I really don't know. We got humans, or we can use humans if we can't figure out what to think of. And since we have a laughing emoji, I'll say laughter. Laughter is very good for cats. Let's run that. I think that's what it was asking me to do. Okay, it was. So now we just created an unordered list. So we're gonna go to the next challenge. Now we're creating. So before we were creating an unordered list. Now we're creating a ordered list. HTML has another special element for creating ordered lists or numbered lists. Ordered lists start with an opening OL. So instead of UL, unordered list, it's OL for ordered list, followed by any number of LI, list item elements. Finally, ordered lists are closed with the OL tag. For example, so it's basically the same. We have list items. The only difference is these are going to be numbered. Would create a numbered list of Garfield and Sylvester. Alright, is my audio back? So what is it asking me to do? Create an ordered list of the top 3 things cats hate the most. Okay. So now it's asking what cats hate the most in an ordered list. So, yeah, I don't know. We're kind of looking for ideas. So, water. Hold on. We have some technical issues. We have some technical difficulties. Hold on. I just X'd out the website. I have to get it back. Okay, I think we're at the legacy one, creating ordered lists. Okay, I don't know what I did. Alright, I don't know what I did, but I'll not do that again. Alright, so let's get back here. So we'll start with OL. And list items. We'll put humans. And I think we heard a water. Is that right? Water? We got water in. See if we can get another one. I don't know what that means, but we'll just put in the word cold because that's what a person in chat said. So we have three things cats hate, three things cats love, and that is it. That is what we were supposed to do. We created an ordered list. We created 3 list items. That should be what we were asked of to do. And we were allowed to move on. So now, creating a text field. Now let's create a web form. A web form. Okay. Input elements are a convenient way to get input from your user. You can create a text input like this. So this is basically like, now this is kind of getting a little bit more technical because this is where it'll be like a form, like a web form, like where you would fill it out. Maybe if it's like a job application or whatever it is. But it's where you actually type things in, and then you shoot that information to the website. So this is kind of the beginning of that. So let's go further. You can create a text input with this. So input, and the type is text. So this would be like a text box. Note that input elements are self-closing. Okay. Create an input element of type text below your list. Well, I think that's all it's telling me to do. That's a very simple direction. Is that really what it's asking me to do? So, wow. I thought it was going to ask me something creative or whatever, but it literally just asked me to copy and paste this into this. Oh no. I was kind of surprised by that. So let's see. Yeah, so that is it. That is all. So we're going to build on that. Placeholder text. So this is kind of like the dead link idea. You kind of want to put something in place of it before you know, if you don't know what to put in, it kind of gives you stuff to put in. Is what you displayed in your input element before your user has inputted anything. You can create placeholder text like so. So basically, I mean, this is a code for it. But essentially what it'll do is it's like it would say that already. Like let's say it's, you know, a username field. It would, you know, it would already have like username already there. Or it would say type in your username. Type username. Or it would say type password. It would be right there to kind of guide you of what to do. But this is how you do it. Placeholder equals whatever you want it to be. Remember that input elements are self-closing. Set the placeholder value of your text input to cat URL. So we're going to turn this, we're going to add placeholder text into this. So let's just follow what it told us to do. In order to create placeholder text, it's placeholder equals whatever we put in. And what did it want us to put in for the placeholder text? Is cat photo URL. So this is exact text. So there it is. And it's kind of different than just being typed in. It's kind of grayed out, so it kind of lets you know that that's what you type in. So that kind of looks like a more clearer to understand website, so it shows you exactly what to type in. And that should be what we're supposed to do. let's run the test. And we passed. Alright. I guess they need a little bit of money. Maybe they have a free code can't build dodo. No. You can build web forms that actually, so let's go to the next one. Create a form element. You can build web forms that actually submit data to a server using nothing more than pure HTML. You can do this by specifying an action attribute on your form element. Let's see if I remember this. Yeah, so I think this has to do with it being posted, the data you type in being posted to wherever the form is supposed to post that data to. So this is a form. Nest the existing input element inside a form element and assign this website to the action attribute of the form element. Alright. So nest the existing input. So it's right here. So basically, wherever this is, we're basically treating that as this, and we're putting the form around it. Alright, so let's see if we can live up to the objectives. Alright, so now we're gonna copy this. And I believe that's about right. Okay, so just as a review, it's kind of like, imagine this would be actually the server that all of the data in the form would be submitted to, but we'll get more into that. Add a button, add a submit button to a form. Let's add a submit button to your form. Clicking this button will send the data from your form to the URL you specified with your form's action attribute. Here's an example submit button. Okay. So it's basically once you click the submit button, that'll be like the trigger for whatever is supposed to happen in the action button. So if in the action button it's supposed to post all the data to a certain server, that's going to be ignited and triggered by the submit button. And the fact that it is a submit button and its type is submit kind of recognizes, it kind of makes that, it kind of like knows that once it hits that button, that's the green light to trigger all that data into wherever the form wants it to go into. So add a submit button, add a button as a last element of your form element with the type of submit, and submit as its text. Okay, so we can have a little bit of a form here, right here, and then after we're going to make a button. We're going to make a button exactly as it tells us to. Well, the type's going to be submit, so we know it's a submit button. We're going to close it. And in between here is we're going to have the exact text that it asks us to put in. Let's copy it and paste it. And once we do that, so now whatever we type in here is going to be, so if this was a real form, the second we hit submit, it would send all of that data, all of this, to the to wherever the server is. But for now, we'll just finish the exercise, and that was correct. Alright, so now use HTML5 to require a field. You can require specific form fields so that your user will not be able to submit your form until he or she has filled them out. You require specific form fields so that your user... Okay, so I think I understand what it's telling us to do. This is like one of those things where it doesn't let you fill something out if you haven't filled out other things. So for example, if you want to make a text input field required, you can just add the attribute required within your input element like this. Alright. So it's basically just like, so this would be just like any form, right? Only just put the word required after. Make your text input in a required field so that your user can't submit the form without completing this field. Then try to submit the form without inputting any text. See how your HTML5 form notifies you that the field is required. Okay, let's try it out. So I think all we have to do is put the word required. I mean, it says it right after. Let's see if it matters. So it's saying, so because we haven't typed anything in, it's saying please fill out this field. So that's HTML5 telling us that. So what we can do is we can take that out, and it won't do that. So it'll basically say, if we take that out, it'll say it's all good. You know, it's fine to not to leave this form blank. It's cool. You know. But if we put required, then it kind of makes you. It'll give you a pop-up that'll say that if you don't fill this field, you can't submit the form. All right, let's move on. I think that's about it. Create a set of radio buttons. You can use radio buttons for questions where you want the user to only give you one answer out of multiple options. Radio buttons are a type of input. Each of your radio buttons can be nested within its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of a label element, it'll automatically associate the radio button input with a label element surrounding it. All related radio buttons should have the same name attribute to create a radio button group. By creating a radio group, selecting any single radio button will automatically deselect the other buttons within the same group, ensuring only one answer is provided by the user. So, okay. So this, we would have a label. Okay, it says a label. And then the name of the group is indoor, outdoor. It's considered best practice to set a for attribute on the label element with a value that matches the value of the ID attribute for the input element. This allows assistive technologies to create a linked relationship between the label and the related input element. So basically, how radio elements work is you need to only be able to select one option. So it's basically like, it could be a situation where it's like a checkbox, right? Where, like you have an order where you can pick multiple ones. You can have this ingredient, you can have that ingredient, you can have that ingredient. But in this situation, you can only pick one. So that's basically all it's saying. So now the instruction is add a pair of radio buttons to your form, each nested in its own label element. One should have the option of indoor, and the other should have the option of outdoor. Both should share the name attribute of indoor-outdoor to create a radio group. Okay. Alright, so it would be after this. Just want to make sure it's alright, so yeah, I'll admit it's been a while. It's kind of strange because that looks like it's the option, and this looks like the name of the group. Just kind of looks confusing. Add a pair of radio buttons to your form, each nested in its own label element. One should have the option of indoor, and the other should have the option of outdoor. Yeah, so there should be... Okay. Okay, so I think I know what it's... Okay, I think I got this. This is going to be, then I'm going to do another example, if this works. Alright, input, ID. So this would be, this would actually be the information. If this is selected, it would be the ID. This would be what would be selected. That would go to the server. Type is radio, so it's a radio button. Yeah, I don't like this over there though. I don't know why that would be over there. I kind of want there to be a line break. I don't know if I can do that without passing the test. And another one. I kind of want another line break. I'm actually doing too much, but I just kind of don't like the way it looks right now. I don't know. I'll just do exactly what it asked me to do. And the name, so the name is of the group. So then it knows that if it's in that group, then it can only be one of them. And then this is what they'll see, indoor. Then we're going to create another label. For outdoor. And alright, so we have this, and it says outdoor. And the type is radio. And the name is going to be exactly the same as the previous one, indoor outdoor. And if it's not, it won't work. Alright, if I'm correct, this will work. So I'm gonna click it, and it okay. So this is what it wanted me to do. Okay, so basically, for this, it can only be, if you notice, it can only be one. It can be indoor or outdoor. The reason for that is because this radio button is in the group indoor outdoor. Same as this one is in the same group as indoor outdoor. So if I alter this even a little bit, let's say I make this, different. I don't make these the same. Then it doesn't matter. They can be in the same group. So notice how I can select, notice how just because I changed, the radio group they were from, right? You can select both at the same time. The only reason right now that you can select both at the same time is because now they're no longer in the same radio group. But the second I take that away, you can only switch one. So what that means is it'll recognize what radio buttons are in, radio groups, because these are not checkboxes. It can only be one. And then basically how this would work is, this is basically the label, the nice label that the user sees. If you get rid of it, they don't see it. So think of this as just the nice thing that the user sees. This as, this is kind of like, basically how this would kind of work, how the server would show this as is, actually I'm going to I think a good opportunity would be to open a text document. Notepad. I'm actually going to open Notepad just to kind of show you something. So, I have Notepad open right now. Hold on. I have Notepad open right now. Kind of want to position it. I can probably position it right there. But here's how it would look to the server. I just want to make it a point of how it'll look to the server. So if you take this group, indoor, outdoor, here's how it will be sent to the, how it will look to the server. It'll be this, this is a name, and then whatever one is clicked. Well, one is clicked. Let's say outdoor is clicked. Then the value for that is going to be outdoor. So this is like, all this code, this is what the server will see once you hit the submit button, because the ID is outdoor. So it'll take this radio group, right? I want to make sure it's visible. But it'll take this. This would be like the name and the value. So as far as like, it's kind of like saying indoor or outdoor. All right, they picked outdoor, and it'll go by the name of the radio group and then the ID, whatever is selected. So we'll kind of get rid of that right now. Wrong one. But yeah, just kind of want to make a point about that. So and we can probably, I don't know, we can probably use any example. It could be trying to think of like comparing two options together. It could be big or small. We create a radio group called big or small. And then we could change this to small, change this to big, and then it would be the same thing, where it would be the option of big and small. If you notice, you can only choose one. So then it would be like where, in this kind of situation, kind of getting back to Notepad. So what would it look like for the server for this? What would it look like? Well, it would be big, small, and what option is selected? Big is selected, and it would be big. So that would tell this. That would tell the. Oh, actually, it wouldn't. Right now, it would actually say, because it's big, it would actually say outdoor. It would actually say indoor, because that's what the ID is. So it would actually have to change the ID. So I'd have to change the ID and everything. And then this would be small. So just know that how this works is it would see the name of the radio group, which is big, small, and then it would see the option selected by the ID, not of what you see here. What you see here, this code, this is just here. This is here. This is not what the server sees. This text could be whatever. It could be whatever. It doesn't matter. What the server sees when you type it all in is it sees the name of the. Oh. One moment. I actually gotta go. Alright, so I'm back. There's just people here to fix the thermostat issue kind of situation. Um, but yeah, but I'm back. So we're just gonna blur that out. And then let's just go back to what it was supposed to. Right? It wanted the name to be indoor outdoor. So let's just change the name back. The name is going to go back to whatever it wanted us to be, just so we can pass the test. And the ID for this was indoor. And the ID for this is outdoor. And I just want to bring this back to indoor and make this back to outdoor. And I think that should do it. Alright, so now we got it back to where it was. Yeah, I'm just going to cut that part out in the Premiere. So before I kind of said like it's not like a checkbox, now we're going to get into checkboxes where it can be multiple options. So forums commonly use checkboxes for questions that may have more than one answer. Checkboxes are a type of input. Each of your checkboxes can be nested within its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of the label element, it will automatically associate the checkbox input with the label element surrounding it. All related checkbox inputs should have the same name attribute. It is considered best practice to explicitly define the relationship between a checkbox input and its corresponding label by setting the for attribute on the label element to match the ID attribute of the associated input element. Here's an example of a checkbox. Okay, so we have a checkbox for loving, ID is loving, type checkbox, and the name is personality. Okay, so I guess like this is gonna be the like the kind of the radio button group, but instead not a radio button group, kind of the checkbox group, where basically it's like whatever you check is going to be added to it. So add to your form a set of 3 checkboxes. Each checkbox should be nested within its own label element. Okay, so when we say that, when we say nested, we mean that this checkbox is going to be nested within its label element. So, let's just do that. Alright. I guess we'll use... Actually, I guess we can just make up our own. We'll say what? We'll make an angry personality. Personality is always angry. And the ID for that will be angry, and this is a checkbox. And the name is going to be in the personality kind of group. So this is going to be a checkbox that's going to be in the personality group. All right, so angry, then label, and then we're going to do the same thing. Label for, let's say it's sad. Let's say it's a sad person. And the ID is going to be sad in that case. And then it's going to be all within the personality checkbox group. So we need another one. I'm thinking we're just going to say happy because we have two negative personalities. So if you can see what we mean by nesting the input within the label. So we have happy right here. Type is a checkbox. That's in the personality checkbox group. All right, so right now we have three personalities: angry, sad, and happy. Let's say all three of them at the same time. Alright, so I think that's what it asked us to do. And I think we're going to explain a little more about that. So, let's say I just select happy and sad. What'll it do? Here's again how it will look to a server. Because I kind of want to give like a big picture understanding of like how the stuff will actually look like once you get to the backend level. And when I say backend, that just means like once the data has to go somewhere, and that's where the data goes, and how it will look to the server, so that when you're actually looking at the database, this is how it'll look basically. All right, so the same kind of thinking. It's kind of like name and ID. It's always name and ID. So what is a name in the situation? Personality. And because you selected more than one, not sure the order, but it would look something like this. It would do happy, and then I believe it would have a comma, and it would be sad. So that's how it would look. Because you have these two selected, so because you have these two checkboxes selected, and because it knows that it's in the personality checkbox group, because you designated it to it, it knows, the server will know that that basically that belongs connected to that. So that's how the data will look and be represented on the server. Alright, so we're just going to move on. I believe we have accomplished the module. We're just going to continue going on. Yep. Use a value attribute. Use a value attribute with radio buttons and checkboxes. When a form gets submitted, the data is sent to the server and include entries for the option selected. Inputs of type radio and checkbox report their values from the value attribute. Yep, we talked about that. So we have a label for indoor, and we have a option for indoor nested in the label, and then we have outdoor option, and we have that. So these are radio buttons nested in that label. Here you have two radio inputs. When the user submits the form with the indoor option selected, the form data will include the line indoor-outdoor equals indoor. So that's actually what I was talking about before. So that's how it'll look. It'll have the name and the value. This is from the name and value attribute of the indoor input. If you omit the value attribute, the submitted form data uses the default value, which is on. In this scenario, if the user clicked the indoor option and submitted the form, the resulting form would be indoor-outdoor equals on, which is not useful. So the value attribute needs to be set to something to identify the option. One moment, I'm just looking. So give each existing radio and checkbox inputs the value attribute. Do not create any new radio buttons or, we won't need to. Use the input label text in lowercase. Okay. Alright. So right here, I think the value, so again, the value would be something that would be typed in already. But only this is kind of the same thing for text for radio buttons and checkboxes. So for this, the value, it would pretty much be the name. It would be the ID. The value should be indoor. I'll actually copy it just so it's easier. Then we'll change this value to outdoor. We'll change this value to so it's exactly what the ID says. So this would be lazy, and this value would be energetic. So I believe that's correct. What it wanted us to do. So I think so I'm just going to kind of go back and we're going to look at our progress a little bit. Before we were at 11. Yeah, so before we were at 11, now we're at 23. So we're actually almost finished with the HTML part, and then we're going to move on to CSS. So I think what we're going to do is after this, we're going to then switch over to the other module, because this is a legacy version. To this one. And CSS kind of kicks in right here, so we're going to kind of wait until, we're going to kind of work on HTML in the beginning first, just to, hammer home the concepts. And after each one, I kind of want to make it so that we apply what we know. So I'm going to try to think of ways to create examples of applying this information to an actual project. And after that, I think I'm going to show you how to use GitHub, which is how you store. It's basically how coders. It's how coders store their code in a cloud server, so that other coders can collaborate on them properly. But that's a whole another thing that I'm going to explain. And in general, these tutorials, I'm kind of just going live on them right now. But they're basically going to be chopped up and put into premieres, and they're going to be kind of more in a organized format, so that and it's going to have. I think it's okay. So it's going to have a lot of things. It's going to have premieres, and then it's going to have things like maybe panels we're going to do to kind of review everything, and like actual like projects. But right now it's kind of just like, this is kind of like the looking ahead version, like when you see these live. So whenever it's live, it's like a lesson like this. This is kind of like the building the curriculum like in real time, pretty much. But then I'm basically going to chop everything down into premieres, and then kind of, I'm going to kind of try to teach it in a more organized way at that point. But I'll kind of explain what I mean more. But yeah, so for now we're just going to work on HTML. I think we can actually get through the entire HTML on both today. I don't know. Can we? So that would mean that after this, these lives will cover CSS. And, then we're kind of getting into somewhat more, less beginner's ground, kind of more intermediate. And then we'll just keep going and going and see where we go. That's kind of the goal of the coding channel. So let's go back. We're almost done with the legacy HTML version. We're at 23 out of 28. When we started this today, we're at 11. All right, so let's continue. Use the value attribute with radio buttons and checkboxes. When a form gets submitted, the data is sent to the server and includes entries for the option selected. Inputs of type radio and checkbox report their values from the value attribute. For example, label for indoor, input ID is indoor. This is a code. So basically, this kind of makes it so it's much more explicit that this is exactly what the server will see. It's not just going to assume that it's the ID. So kind of going on, here you have two radio buttons. When the user submits the form with the indoor option selected, the form data will include the line indoor-outdoor equals indoor. Yep, because the indoor-outdoor is kind of like the is a radio button group, and indoor is the one that's selected. This is from the name and value attributes of the indoor input. If you omit the value attribute, the submitted form data uses a default value, which is on. In this scenario, if the user clicked the indoor option and submitted the form, the resulting form data would be indoor, outdoors, on. I don't know why it'd be on, actually. I don't know why. It doesn't really describe that, which is not useful. So the value attribute needs to be set to something to identify the option. So yeah, so actually the value attribute kind of will make it so that it'll be much more explicit of what is actually selected will be brought to the server. So now it's giving an assignment. Give each of the existing radio and checkbox inputs the value attribute. Do not create any new radio or checkbox elements. Use the input label text in lowercase as a value of the attribute. All right. Well, actually, I think we already did that. Did we already do that? Yeah, we already did that, actually. So if I just click run, we already did that. And you can see right here. So the values are matching the ID. The values are matching the ID. The values are matching the ID. So it would basically show the name is kind of like it would show the name and then the value. The name and value. The name and value. So that's kind of how it would work. Once you kind of like as far as like the data being submitted, it's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet where it would be the name and then the value. Just moving on. Alright, check radio buttons and checkboxes by default. Alright, so you can set a checkbox or radio button to be checked by default using the checked attribute. Okay, so what this is it would basically automatically code so that one of this or one of this is already selected without you doing anything. So I guess for some reason it would kind of show you like it's kind of like oh, actually I shouldn't have my my camera there. I think I should actually just have my actually just be audio. I'll just be audio. So if we look at input, if we look at right here, it would like if I put the checked attribute, it would already be selected without me doing anything. So let's try it out. I think it's gonna ask us to do something like that. Set your first two radio buttons and the first of your checkboxes to both be checked by default. Okay, so let's check this out. the first two radio buttons. Where are my radio buttons? So this looks like a radio button right here. So I'm going to say checked. First of your radio buttons and first of your checkboxes. Alright. So now loving is the first of my checkboxes. So now I'm going to hit checked. And as soon as I type checked in, you're going to notice that loving will be checked. See? Yeah, I think it's probably better to do it this way, actually, just audio, because I think this entire time the camera was in the wrong place. So let's run the test. Alright, got 89% done. Nest many elements within a single div element. The div elements, also known as division elements, is a general purpose container for other elements. The div element is probably the most commonly used HTML element of all. Just like any other non-self-closing element, you can open a div element with div and close it with another div. Okay. Nest your things cats love and top 3 things cats hate. List all within a single div element. And try putting your opening div tag above your things cats love p element and your closing div tag after your closing OL tag, that's ordered list tag, so that both of your lists are within one div. Alright, so what it's asking, so I think it wants 2 divs to separate these 2 things. So let's just type a div right here and close a div here, see what happens. I think that was what it asked me to do. That is it. Doesn't go into much detail. Let's move on to the next one. Declare the doc type of your HTML element. Challenges so far have covered specific HTML elements and their uses. However, there are a few elements that give overall structure to your page and should be included in every HTML document. At the top of your document, you need to tell the browser which version of HTML your page is using. HTML is an evolving language and is updated regularly. Most major browsers support the latest specification, which is HTML5. However, older web pages may use previous versions of the language. You tell the browser this information by adding the doc type tag on the first line, where the ... part is a version of the HTML. For HTML5, use doc type HTML. Okay. The exclamation and the uppercase doc type is important, especially the older browsers. The HTML is not case sensitive. Nest the rest of your HTML code. Next, the rest of your HTML code needs to be wrapped in HTML tags. The opening HTML goes directly below the doc type HTML line, and the closing HTML goes at the end of the page. Okay. Here's an example of the page structure. Your HTML code will go in the space between the two HTML tags. Add a doc type tag. That's how it's supposed to look. Add a doc type tag for HTML5 to the top of the blank HTML document in the code editor. Under it, add an opening HTML tags which wrap around. Alright, so let's just get started. Let's just put this here. This here. Good doc type. .html. Add a doc type tag for HTML at the top of the blank HTML document and the code editor. Under it, add an opening and closing HTML tags. Alright, let's try that out. So far, so good. Let's wrap around in each one element. The heading can include any text. So let's just type in the word any text here. That is what it asks us to do. So I think this kind of indicates the version. So this will make it so that it's using HTML5. I believe that's the purpose of this. So I'm gonna hit run. Yeah, looks like we're almost 96% complete. Submit, go to the next challenge. Define the head and body of an HTML document. Okay. You can add another level of organization to your HTML document within the HTML tags within the head and body elements. Any markup with information about your page will go into the head tag. Then any markup with the content of the page, which displays for the user, will go in the body tag. Yep. So actually, I think I use the term metadata for it. It's kind of like, trying to describe it. It's kind of like whatever would be in the head would be how the body is going to be managed. So if you actually kind of think of it like a head and a body, it's like if your head tells you to move your left arm, it's kind of describing, it's kind of like the data for the data. It's kind of like describing, the uses of it. But it'll kind of make sense more as we explain it more. Here's an example of a page layout. Alright, so we have the doc type right there. We have the HTML tags. Alright, we have a head tag. We heard of that before. We heard of this. Kind of unfamiliar with this. That's kind of a new one. We know about the body tags. We know about divs. We learned about them. But this is generally what a website would look like. This is a page layout. Edit the markup so that there's a head and a body. The head element should only include the title. Yep. So that would be something like here. And the body element should only include the H1 and P. So all this stuff would be in the body element. Would be in the body tag. So let's hit run test, and we are done. We are done with HTML and HTML5 for, I think, this one. The rest would start to go into CSS. So after that, it would go into CSS. For now, I think I want to end it off. And we're just gonna kind of go through this entire thing. I don't know when I'm gonna go live next, but we're just gonna get through this entire thing so that we can get caught up to CSS. And then we're going to try to work some examples just to really make sure that the foundations are understood, and then we can continue on. But these lives kind of will be pretty choppy, though. And, but they're going to be kind of more in premieres in the future, but the lives will kind of just be in real time, like where everything's going, so you kind of see it first if you watch the live version. And actually from now on I will kind of not have my camera there, any video, because I think that just so I guess like in this situation it kind of blocked content that I was trying to actually show. So I'm basically, it's just going to be kind of like only audio, for the betterment of these tutorials. And I think that's about it.